So, Harry,
Yes.
you are very shortly going to enter into the exciting world of married life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that all marriages have their ups and downs. It's a long, long road. So, what are your plans for keeping the magic alive, keeping the flame going?
Oh, you're loving us, aren't you? Well, I guess that I could take a leaf out of these guys' book, and every couple of years we could have sex.
Yeah. Yeah. Ambitious, but sure. Yeah.
Either that, or just I guess I could just smash the house down and just do lots of DIY.
That's what you kind of do anyway, really.
Well, I'm running out of DIY, so it's getting smashy season soon.
Okay.
And then
So
build it all back.
Oh, great. Okay. So your formula for a successful marriage is smashy, followed by sexy, followed by more smashy.
Yeah.
Great.
Basically, yeah.
Sounds good. Foolproof. How could it fail?
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where today we are pitching prequels, sequels, and spin-off ideas to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We'll also be pitching some drinking games and hearing other sequel pitches from our Twitter followers. But first, we're going to talk about some of our favourite moments from the original movie and catch you up with a bit of a plot summary. I'm Harry, the host with the most argumentative partner.
Yeah. Undeniable, once again.
And
Although I wouldn't try and shoot her. That's a bit extreme.
Maybe.
Or blow her up. Yeah.
And joining me, as always, the host with the most cause to take a hit out on me, is John Lucas.
Oh, any day now.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yes.
what do you think?
I've got to be honest, I did not love this movie.
Yeah, I didn't think you would. Like after watching it,
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah.
I
Good
didn't pick it thinking like, John, I hate this.
No, and I didn't think, well, I didn't hate it. It wasn't awful. I just thought it could have been so much better.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, all the elements are there,
Yep.
but it just got really repetitive. And after a certain point, I was just like, how much more of this sexy violence do I have to sit through before a plot emerges? And I would argue that it never did. Like, what is the plot of this movie?
There's two agents.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, there's two assassins, and they're in different agencies.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, the agencies don't like that, and so they put a hit out on each other.
Yeah, I guess that's the reveal at the end of exactly what is going on. But yeah, I think here's my main problem with this movie. The central premise is flawed.
Yeah.
Because we have to believe that these two people are at the top of their game as assassins.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be a very high intelligence, I'd imagine, to be a good assassin. You know.
Yeah.
And yet they've been living together in the same house for five or six years.
Yeah.
Well, they've been married 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
They've been living together for 5 or 6 years, and they've never figured out that the other, each has never even suspected for a moment that the other is also an assassin.
Yes.
This makes them seem both deeply stupid and bad at their jobs. And it's kind of hard to then believe in them as assassins.
Or it's that they're both so good at their jobs that they're so good at keeping their cover.
Well, we see clearly that's untrue. They are terrible at staying undercover. They cause nothing but destruction everywhere they go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only because they're going up against each other when.
So it's like two positive magnetic forces or something. It's like when you try and get them together, it just creates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I felt like ultimately this movie needed to be about 25% sillier.
Yeah.
It should have really gone all in on the comedy, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I don't think the problem is the cast. I think if there's a saving grace of this movie, and like I said, it's not terrible. The saving grace is it's very pleasing to the eye. Like, they are very attractive people, and sometimes just watching sexy people be sexy
They're incredible.
Is just, that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it.
That's why the majority of people went and watched this film.
Well, yeah. Well, the other thing about this film is that it wasn't just like a hit movie. It was like a cultural event because, this came out and then Angelina and Brad got together and then Brangelina was born and poor Jennifer was born and all this, poor Jennifer. It was a huge thing. And I really think all the stories around it are what made the movie so big because it was absolutely massive. It made like 300 million. And this is like in 2005 for a film that's not like a franchise movie. That's very, very impressive. So yeah, it was a huge hit, but I'm not saying it should have been recast or anything. I think they're good. They're really good, and they're well cast, and the chemistry's there. They definitely have good chemistry because they were really fucking.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's all there. And I've seen them. Well, I've seen Brad Pitt be funny, in other films.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen Angelina Jolie be funny, but I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her push herself into out of her comfort zone a bit more in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they're just really, really bland. The characters don't have any kind of arc, and there's not even any interesting supporting characters. It's all them.
It really is, isn't it? There are supporting characters, but
they're pointless.
They're nothing.
You've got
You got Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, they've each got a friend or a slash business partner or whatever. So Angelina Jolie's got Kerry Washington, who is just bland.
Yeah.
It just kind of is a person for her to say things to.
I mean, she's basically Kerry Washington is one of her the three other people.
Yeah, who are in this movie, yeah.
No, as in one of Angelina's three.
Oh, yeah, she's got three
assistants.
Yeah. I think she has moderately more dialogue than the other two. But yeah, essentially, she could just as easily have been played by a voice, a voice in a machine.
Yeah.
It could have been Angelina Jolie's
Siri,
yeah. Basically, that's for all she does.
Yeah.
And then, Vince Vaughn's just creepy and irritating, but not in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Which is how I often find Vince Vaughn to be, creepy and irritating.
There are some points in this film where I think, okay, this feels somewhat progressive for a 2005 movie. They're really getting sort of equal screen time and showing that the characters are very equally capable, and it looks quite good. And she's not just an object that he's fighting for or something, and nothing's at her expense that isn't also at his expense, and it's very even like that.
Yeah.
And I'll circle back to that. But then whenever Vince Vaughn comes into it, it's oh dear, this really just undoes.
This character is well. I don't know if we're supposed to
I get it. The character's the weirdo. It's not. It's not the film that's
because he's this proto incel who lives with his mother who's never seen on screen. Yeah.
Yeah, but she doesn't have that version of that.
No, she doesn't.
In her assistance.
No, because Kerry Washington is just boring and has no personality.
That would be funny.
Yes.
If Kerry Washington was also just completely shallow and just.
Or maybe
awful.
with some really over the top man hating feminist kind of thing. That could be the exact polar opposite of Vince Vaughn.
Exactly,
that could also be good. Yeah, that's what I mean. This film needed to just have a bit more more fun with the characterizations and give them a bit more to bounce off rather than just be 2 hours of them fighting and having sex and blowing people up and killing people. That's all it is, and that's fine. But it really got tedious for me because it was so repetitive. Honestly, by about an hour in, because it's also a 2 hour movie, an hour in, I was like, it's still going. It's still going. And this is an action movie. You shouldn't feel that way about an action movie. You know what I mean? It's not like there was nothing happening on screen for me. It was just you've kind of already played this beat so many times. I just needed a bit more variety in this film. So, yeah.
It got much closer to the end when I was like, this is getting very the same now. It's very boring and there's not really anything happening. It was much further than 1 hour in for me. I guess we'll get to it in the plot summary, but this film's a little disappointing.
Yeah,
from the memory that I had.
It's a shame because it really could have been so much better. I think there's easily a version of this film which is really fun, but I just think it needed to be a bit sillier and it needed to lean into the silliness or lean into the emotion more and make it actually look at what their marriage is like and make it a bit more dramatic, because it's just really kind of falls in that bland middle for me. So.
Yeah.
So, part 2, here we are. Only this time you came back alone. Why did you come back?
I'm not sure, really. Let me clarify. I love my wife. I want her to be happy. I want good things for her. But there are times.
There's this huge space between us, and it just keeps filling up with everything that we don't say to each other. What is that called?
Marriage. What don't you say to each other?
Well, yeah, anyway, so I didn't love this one, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But, interesting little time capsule.
There's a lot of fun moments to it.
It has moments, yeah. And as I say, it's very pleasing to look at, if nothing else. So, yeah, that.
Yeah. So should we do a plot summary?
Go for it. Do you reckon you can cope this week? It's not the most intricate.
I reckon I can.
Come on, I've got faith in you. Come on.
So it starts off. This is 2005. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie.
Yes.
Like we say, it's Big movie. Biggest movie of 2005, maybe?
One of, I don't know if it was the highest grossing movie of the year, but it was definitely probably in the top 5. It was a huge event.
Yeah. Anyway, this film opens with the two of them in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And did you find this a bit slow? Like, there's not really anything being said for ages. It's just...
Well, God, you have no patience for films, do you? You're like, hurry up, come on, get. No wonder you couldn't cope with All About Eve if this is your level of like patience for things. Like, no, I thought the framing device was fine. It was like a small little scene at the beginning, and then they circle back to it a couple of times. Like, it does go on a little bit. I know what you mean.
That's what I mean. This film does take its time to get going.
Yeah.
And when it gets going, it's not got very much to give.
No, you're right. I think this therapy scene lasts about 5 minutes, and they could have made the point in 30 seconds. Like, I'll go with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I forget at what point in the film they tell us that they're spies, or if we're just already supposed to know.
Do you mean assassins?
Assassins, sorry. Spies.
It makes it pretty clear pretty early on. Okay. I think it kind of because we flash back to the meeting, don't we? And it's very heavily.
So I think they're from the therapy. We go to their meeting, which is in some country that's being destabilized.
Colombia.
Or whatever. Colombia, great. Yeah. And we hear that the police are looking for, the army or whatever, authorities are looking for a lone tourist.
Yeah.
And so Brad Pitt is in a hotel looking extremely out of place in this country as clearly a lone tourist.
Yeah.
And then in walks Angelina Jolie, followed by some police. And they're like, hey, you're a lone tourist. And she just looks over to Brad Pitt. They share a look. And they're like, okay, this is cover. Okay, we're together. No, we're not a lone tourist. We're a couple. And, the cover is born.
Yeah. Here's the thing. So this is their meet cute. Like I say, they meet cute when they give each other cover for something dodgy that's happening.
Yeah.
And then they have sex. Like the chemistry is really there. It's really hot, whatever. They have sex. And then they have this romance and they get married, whatever. How come at this point they never have a discussion about what is actually going on?
Well, what's going on in the city?
No, I mean, between the two, I was like, oh, that was weird. Why are you being trailed by the police? Never comes up again. It's just kind of assumed that, that's how we met, and then we just never mentioned it again.
I think that they both thought that they were being trailed by the police.
Okay.
So, like, Brad Pitt was like, oh, Angelina Jolie, that's good cover. And then she was the exact same to him.
Oh, I see. So they both didn't think that the other person might also be...
Yeah, so they thought that they were both the initiator.
Okay.
Of probably all parts of that day.
Presumably only one of them actually killed the guy, though.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there was more afoot than just a guy got killed.
Okay, fine.
I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. Or maybe they both shot the guy at the same time from the other side. And two bullets went into this guy's head
one
at the
in
same
each
time.
temple, They cross on the way through.
They didn't see the other one.
Yeah.
Maybe something like, I don't know.
Wouldn't put it past this movie for that to be a thing at all.
Yeah, and so then it cuts to 5 or 6 years later. That's the joke, is that Brad Pitt does not remember how long they've been together.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years later, the two of them are living in a fantastic house.
In a palatial mansion.
Yeah.
They do give each of them these fake jobs that, like, the other one is supposed to believe is why they've got so much money.
So he's like an engineer in what looks like a caravan.
Yeah.
So God knows where he's pretending to get his money from.
Yeah.
And what's her thing?
She works in computers.
Right.
The classic mid-noughties, let's give someone a vague job that makes them money.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. So each one, the jobs are just a front. So I think they say he's in real estate, actually, unless I've made that up.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But the point is, like, she goes to work in this gigantic office, which is, a tower block, which is this very well set up, like, all-female spy assassin.
I want to know more about this.
Same. I want to know the backstory.
This was really interesting. Like, all-female assassins
agency, yeah.
This is great, and like when she has to go in, she has to go through like a full body scanner, and it's so high tech and futuristic, and like this is really interesting. And his is the exact opposite.
That's what I mean. Like that would have been a fun backstory. Why is she working at this top all-female assassins agency in a massive New York tower block with all the mod cons, and his assassins agency is just him and Vince Vaughn in Vince Vaughn's mother's basement. It's like the difference is so striking, but they never even acknowledge it.
Yeah, they don't acknowledge it, but I think that what it is that she's super over the top, like overthinks everything. So the best example of this is in a couple scenes time. Well, so first of all, they get their day in their respective agencies, and they each get a hit on this guy. Yeah, and he's like he looks like a tech nerd.
It's Adam Brody from One Tree Hill. Yeah,
and they're like, you need to go and get this guy. He's going to be driving through the desert, so just go and kill him then.
Yeah,
and so then we cut to the desert, Angelina Jolie, she's there. She's just commandeered this shack, and she's put up like lasers and stuff so that when his vehicle breaks the lasers, it triggers these bombs that she's dug into the ground and stuff. And it's a very high-tech system of where she just has to sit back and watch and do nothing.
Yeah.
And then Brad Pitt shows up in a dune buggy, accidentally knocking over her lasers, so she has to like turn that off and like go to some sort of a plan B. And his plan is to just shoot the guy with a bazooka.
Yeah.
And it's very like she's thought it through to the nth degree. She's got a plan A all the way down to Z. Everything's very high tech and over the top, and he's just like, yeah, I'll just shoot the guy.
Yeah.
It's simple and basic, and it's probably cheap, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I appreciated that contrast.
And that's kind of what their agencies are as well. Like hers is just super high tech and over the top, and with like, you know, weird X-rays and escape plans that mean like jumping out of skyscrapers.
What was that evacuation plan?
I don't know. But yeah, and he just works in a shack, like in a...
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just to show that they're a bit different.
Sure.
But yeah, it was weird. So yeah, they do this assassination in the desert. They both get in each other's way, and nobody kills Adam Brody.
No.
I
feel like Adam Brody's role in this movie was chopped to fuck by the edit.
Yeah.
Because they really set him up as if he's going to be a character, because he gets his own little scene when he goes into his own little agency and is like, hey, can I see the big boss to get my mission? And this random woman, the receptionist, like, nobody sees the boss, but your mission is this.
Yeah.
Never comes up again.
Yeah.
Like, he's gone for, like, there's this failed assassination attempt. He escapes. And then he shows up at the very end again for, like, 10 minutes. Like, I feel like there must have been more of him that they just chopped out for some reason.
Yeah.
Because they really set him up as being more.
This film... Let's talk about it.
Okay.
This film has been edited to shit.
It's an editing nightmare.
There is so much missing from this, very clearly. I would love to see like a director's cut or.
Well, apparently he wrote, like, the director Doug Liman, who also wrote it, I think, he couldn't decide how to end it for a start.
Really?
He wrote
I can't tell.
I know, right? Yeah, because it ends so satisfyingly. No, he wrote like 40 endings. Apparently, I read somewhere.
40
potential endings. Filmed like 5, and then finally landed on the one that he went with. So there's whole character. There was a whole
40.
Yeah, there is a whole. Did you notice that the voice of
Keith David? Yes.
Keith David is like the, I think she calls him Daddy, which is like, Angelina Jolie's mysterious boss, and then Brad Pitt has a mysterious female voice, and that's Angela Bassett.
All right. Okay.
And there was a version where they actually are the main villains and show up at the end, and they just got cut out of it completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really will. And like Adam Brody's boss. Who is that? Like
exactly.
Like why give us this sort of Chekhov's mysterious boss,
and then never come back to it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like.
That's what I mean. It just felt like so much of this film was just cobbled together and
so
cut
there's like
out.
3 hidden bosses. 2 of them are cast as, you know, fairly
famous,
known
very recognizable
names.
voices.
Yeah. And there's nothing with it. And then, because then when it gets to the end, it's like, okay, now we're going to fight back. And they just kill a SWAT team in a department store.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what did that achieve?
It was a really underwhelming ending.
You didn't kill anyone.
Yeah. Because this film has no villain.
It's, yeah.
This film edited out its villains.
Yeah.
There's no villains.
It's so weird.
It's really bizarre. It's just these 2 people bickering for 2 hours and to no end. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really know what to do with that.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's so weird. I can only assume that Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were just like, no, this has to be all about us.
Yeah.
We need to be in every scene.
But why?
I don't know. It's so
Why?
strange. Yeah. That's what I mean. It could have been a better movie. I'm going to keep repeating myself. It could have been such a better movie if they'd just like had a bit more fun with it and maybe written it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Written one film and then shot it, you know.
So, yeah, where did they get to?
They've tried to kill each other unsuccessfully because they messed up their own hit. Yeah.
Yes. So in the desert, they screwed everything up, and so they go back to their agencies and they start just sort of looking into it. And she's reviewing her footage, and he's doing a bit of detective work. I forgot how his goes. And oh yeah, that's it. Because he's got a bit of her broken laptop, who he takes to his local tech nerd. And they managed to get an address out of one of the parts that was shipped or whatever.
And it turns out it's his address, yeah.
No, it's...
the address where she works.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he goes to that place. And
again, we're supposed to believe these 2 people have been married for 6 years. They've never visited each other once at work. Like, not once, either of them.
I know. So he goes to that place, and on the door sign, he sees the address. He sees Jane Smith. And at the exact same time, she's just put two and two together by watching footage of him getting out the dune buggy, but while he was wearing like a mask and goggles and stuff. Just like the way that he shakes his leg after doing a wee, she recognizes that as like, oh, that must be Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And so they both have this reaction at the same time, and they're like, shit, I need to get home. But the thing that I find so bizarre is that he goes to this address just like, oh, I'm going to go to this address. And then he sees Jane Smith and like, oh, that must be my wife.
So he doesn't even know where she works.
No,
Yeah.
like, so that's the thing. It's just seeing her name there, and it's like, oh, that must be my wife. What?
Yeah.
It's like the point of
I know it's the most generic
names.
name
It's
in
the
the
most
world.
generic names.
Yeah.
So why was that the trigger for him? Like, I get it with her, even though it's kind of ridiculous because we don't actually, like, this the way that he kicks his leg after he wheezes or whatever. Like, we don't see that earlier in the movie for us to make that connection, or to see her making that connection at least. But yeah, just like him seeing her name like that and that being it. So yeah, they both rush off home as quickly as possible. Now, bear in mind, he's on the ground floor, so he just goes.
Yeah.
She's on the top floor, so she needs to like pack everything up and go all the way down and go. But then he manages to get home as quick as possible. She's beaten him home somehow.
Sure.
God
Yeah.
knows how.
She flew. Who knows?
I guess. And in that time, she's prepared dinner, which you know, look, she didn't cook it. We
learn later.
Yeah, we know that from later in the movie. She didn't cook it, but she's at least prepared it.
Yeah.
Like put away the takeaway containers and poisoned it and everything. And like,
Do we think she actually poisoned that roast beef thing?
I think so.
'Cause that's the thing. It doesn't feel like they're really trying to kill each other.
Well, they're both doing such a bad job of it.
Well, yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, he obviously thinks she's going to kill him,
Yeah.
and they're both playing this weird passive-aggressive game. But I didn't get the impression she actually wanted him dead at any point.
Yeah. Well, that's the point, isn't it? That they do actually love each other. But yeah, so they sit down, they have this meal, which is a repeat of a scene earlier where they were just having a very domestic meal, talking about curtains. But this time they're just sort of chopping bread very provocatively. And,
Oh, so much sexy food chopping in this.
really
scene,
was,
yeah.
wasn't there? What happens next? Oh yeah, just basically one thing leads to another, and like she just makes the jump to conclusion like, yeah, it's him. I'm positive it's him. And so she excuses herself, goes into the garage, gets in her car, and drives off. He chases her down through all the gardens, manages to catch up with her, trips over a fence, and accidentally shoots her or shoots the car through the windscreen. Claims it was an accident, but then she just runs him over anyway.
Yeah.
And I think she gets away or whatever. And then it cuts to the next day, and she's back at work. What are they doing? What are they looking at?
I don't know. At some point, he infiltrates, doesn't he?
Yeah, he infiltrates in the air filter system, and she's like, "Quick, we need to evacuate the floor."
Yeah.
So like they just burn everything. They
zip line out of the building onto an adjoining skyscraper,
and get away at the last.
which feels
minute.
very conspicuous.
Yeah.
Like, we need to leave because we've been our cover's blown. Let's zip line onto the Empire State or whatever.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's just left in this empty room. He takes back the stove that they tried to dispose of lots of papers with, takes it back to Vince Vaughn, and they find part of a logo that then takes him to a building site. And so he gets in one of the lifts in the building site, and then they have a video call over CCTV where she threatens to kill him. One of her assistants accidentally does press the button that blows up the lift, but it turns out he was in a different lift.
Yes.
So now she, I believe, thinks that he's dead for a short while. Like, actually thinks that he's dead.
Well, we get that one singular tear running
Exactly,
down
yeah.
Angelina Jolie's perfectly formed cheek. Just
Yeah.
like-
So she goes and has a meal by herself. And then he shows up, and they have a bit of a conversation about whatever. And then they try and get. She tries.
They do
to
like a
get-
sexy tango, which I think is just lifted wholesale from True Lies.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in True Lies when Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger are doing that. Yeah, I think it's just basically that.
Great.
Yeah. But it's a lot of like shoving against, it's like a very violently sexy.
Yeah.
There's lots of shoving her against the wall, and like, I think she punches him at one point. It's like, how are you not drawing attention to yourselves? Not for the last time in this movie. It's like, how are you not drawing more attention to yourselves with this?
Yeah. Then she wants to leave, so she causes a distraction by setting a bomb off in the toilet or whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah, she puts a bomb in his jacket and hands it to him. That is an attempt at killing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're definitely trying to kill each other.
But like half-heartedly.
But also, it's a ticking bomb
Yeah.
because I guess it's a bomb operated by a clock
Yeah.
or whatever. Because is that the best that she can do in 2005?
That's what I
Or
think.
did she not really want to?
She doesn't really want him dead, no.
So she used the worst bomb in existence.
Yes. Just a clock with some dynamite stuck to it or something, yeah.
Yeah. And what happens then after that?
Well,
Is that when they go back to the house?
At some point, yeah, they go back to the house and have this whole fight that ends up completely destroying the house.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're like shooting guns at each other through walls. They're smashing up everything. The fight goes on for ages. And do you want to have a conversation about domestic violence, or do you? Or do you want to skip over that?
It's like you said earlier, that the equal opportunity side of this movie, where they're both equally badass as each other, is a great idea on paper. It's still weird seeing Brad Pitt repeatedly kicking Angelina Jolie in the stomach.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But luckily smartly probably they made it quite even between them.
Yes.
So like, there's no clear winner. Nobody's on the ground getting kicked for too long before they turn it around.
Yes. I mean, they're both made of Teflon anyway, so it's fine. They just bounce back. Yeah.
Like, there are so many injuries in this that mean absolutely nothing. Like, near the end of the movie, Brad Pitt gets full on stabbed in the thigh.
Oh yeah.
Not even limping.
No.
No blood. Nothing.
Nope.
Like, well, what was that for?
Yeah.
Why include it? But yeah, it is just weird to watch. They wouldn't make this now, would they?
No, I don't think that would fly today. No. I would hope not. Yeah, it is very strange. But it's okay because she found it really sexy, so that excuses it.
They both did.
They both did. Yeah, it was consensual abuse. Yeah.
Yeah. That's this film's saving grace. Everything was just equal between them.
Yeah,
So,
basically,
it just rules out lots of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
They fight. The house really suffers.
Yeah.
They blow up the kitchen. Like, he just disconnects the gas main and she accidentally blows it up.
Yes.
They never come back to that.
They never come back. Is that not when doesn't the whole house explode, or is that later?
No, that's a bit later.
Okay.
So that would be a fire that would slowly quite quickly burn the entire house down. But it's never addressed.
No.
And apparently the explosion put the fire out.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure, I'll take your word for it. But yeah, they eventually run out of fighting steam, and they finally break all that sexual tension. And
Well, they both end up pointing guns at each other's faces,
Yeah.
and then neither of them can bring themselves to kill the other one, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it just resolves in massive sexual release.
And boy, did I feel it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because this scene leading up to it, before they get to the release, it goes on and on and on.
It really does go on, yeah.
And after a while, me and Louise are like, can they just stop this and have sex already? Come on. And,
Same.
And then we're just kind of rooting for them, like, come on, have sex, come on. And it takes them ages.
It does take them a long time, yeah.
Can't do it.
Don't! Come on! Come on!
You want it? It's yours.
But yeah, so eventually they get there, and it's still quite violent.
Oh yeah, it's very
there's a lot-
aggressive sex.
Yeah, there's a lot of throwing her against a wall, and he's walking on broken glass and stuff like that. And I don't want that MSX.
No.
No, thank you. Yeah, and so then we cut to the next morning, and they're just making breakfast with whatever's not
This was the
destroyed.
most upsetting moment of the film for me.
Why?
I was so I get it. They like the violence is part of their whole sexual. It's turning them on, and it's whatever. I get that.
Yeah.
Why the next morning? What possible reason beyond sheer stupidity? Why would you drink orange juice out of a shattered glass?
Well, they weren't drinking out of the shattered bits of the glass.
They were. The glass was shards.
Yeah.
There's clearly bits of broken glass going to be in that orange juice. They're going to die slowly and painfully from that. That's not sexy. That's just irresponsible.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Wound me up.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I it didn't go by unnoticed.
Yeah.
I was definitely thinking about it. But then some sniper rifles show their lasers. And so they have to kind of run for their lives a little bit. They go down to the basement, Brad Pitt gets a gun out of a train set. What were they doing with a train set? These two are never going to have kids.
It's his fake hobby. You can have adult train sets. Yeah, that's a thing. Adult men often collect model trains. It's a thing.
All right, sounds like a midlife crisis thing.
It is a bit. Yeah, I'm not saying it's cool. I'm just saying it's a thing people do. You know? The conversation about kids is also not really in this movie. They like briefly mention it. Like they briefly have a scene where she has to hold a baby.
Oh yeah.
And she looks like, oh no, thank you. But then again, they never really bring it up. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's an easy conversation. No, I don't want any.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're down in the basement and a robot drops a grenade on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so Brad Pitt kicks the grenade away. It lands underneath a fuel tank.
Of
Do American
course.
houses have fuel tanks like this? Because
Well-
this does not seem okay.
Well, a house of this size obviously needs an independent fuel tank. Yeah. How else are you going to like 15 floors?
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's such a big house.
Yeah, it is.
Well, until this point when it gets blown to smithereens.
Yes, so they run out of the basement. There's all guns firing at them, but they're fine because they dive.
Yeah. They
the-
do the flame-proof dive that
Yeah.
makes everyone impervious to explosions.
Yeah, all the good people impervious.
Yeah.
So yeah, the house explodes because they dived. It dodged them or something. I don't know, but it took out all the bad guys.
Sure.
Literally all of them. They're all dead. So that's good. And they get in a car and drive away.
Well, the thing, no, there are still some bad guys left because they have to steal a car. So they steal a car from their next door neighbor's garage. And I'm like, are we supposed to believe the next door neighbors are still asleep? Our house has just exploded. Everyone's going to be on the streets.
Yeah, especially after last night's domestic
Exactly,
violence.
the amount of stuff.
To be fair, the police were called last night.
Yeah, and then they cover it as well. Oh no, we're just having sexy fun times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because yeah, that passes.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the police are like, yeah, no further questions.
Like the house is completely smashed up.
Yeah.
They're both covered.
There's already
in,
been a couple of explosions and multiple gunshots.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're both covered in lots of injuries, and the police are like, "Oh yeah, great, because you're both here and alive. That means that nobody's being abused."
Yes,
Great.
absolutely. No, nothing to see here. Yes.
Yeah.
Chief Wiggum went back to the station. But yeah, the idea that the neighbors are just like asleep in their bed after all this, after the house has exploded, was just
Yep.
yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, they steal a car and drive away. Is this the bit where we get the car chase with the 3 matching sports cars?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the movie is just them driving around and bickering.
It
basically.
really is. Like,
yeah.
so I've done all the interesting bits of the movie now.
Yeah,
It's all done now. This is the bit where it just gets edited out.
yeah, and there's still a good 45 minutes to go. But I really struggled with this. Yeah, because it's just them like evading bad guys while arguing about whether or not their marriage was actually worth fighting for or not.
Yeah. See, now I could take it for the car chase.
Yeah.
Because this is the first real bit that we've got where they're on the same side and they're fighting against anything.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the car chase. I didn't really see the point in the 3 matching BMWs. Like, just go undercover a bit.
Sure.
Like, rather than 3 matching sports cars clearly following. What I'm saying is the SWAT teams in this weren't very good.
No, because the villains were completely undefined.
Yeah. Yeah, what happens after the car chase?
There's more car chases. It goes on for fucking ever, the car chase. Yeah, but they're having all these arguments, and a lot of this stuff is like they're arguing about things like, oh, you lied about this, you lied about that. I'm not really into golf, I think he says at one point, or like, all these things about how their whole relationship has been a lie. And I'm like, I would have quite liked to have seen this.
Yeah.
This would have been a more interesting movie, like to see, how they've created this fake life for each other. But now they're just like bringing it all up now. And also I was thinking like, oh, you were never nice to my mother. She wasn't even your real mother. It was a fake mother. Like all this kind of stuff. And obviously their names are Jack and Jane Smith. So obviously
John
and Jane Smith. So it's like, ultimate boring aliases, Jane Doe basically. Yeah.
That's never questioned.
No, that's never a question. I'm thinking, was your marriage actually legal? How did none of this fake ID stuff become an issue when you were legally marrying this person?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So again, more interesting movie would have made that part of it, but no. So they're driving around and they're arguing and bickering. At a certain point, they pick up Adam Brody again. Mm-hmm. I think they want to use him as bait because the idea is that
they said like the only way that we can get them off our tails is to get them something more important,
which is this guy, yeah.
which is Adam Brody. And so then they go and get Adam Brody and they're going to interrogate him, but then he's like, "Nah, my mission was you."
Yeah, he was the bait. That was it.
Yeah,
Because the people who are trying to kill them now are their own agencies.
Yes.
Both their own agencies have teamed up, or are both.
Well, I don't know.
They're both trying to kill them
undefined.
because they failed to deliver Adam Brody. And then we get the reveal at this point that Adam Brody was a decoy because their agencies figured out before they did that they were married.
Yeah.
And so they decided to set them both up against to kill the same guy in the hopes that they would kill each other.
Yeah.
What a waste of resources.
Yeah.
Just fucking put up a cap in the back of their heads while they're not looking. Like,
Yeah.
What? How is that the mission?
Yeah.
Madness.
Is,
Yeah.
is it that difficult?
It's
Do
really.
you know where they both live?
Yeah, they get Vince Vaughn and Kerry Washington to just like pop them when they're
Asleep.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blow up the house while they're in it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's
Su-
very it
such-
takes one grenade. It's
Yeah,
very easy.
such a convoluted way of potentially killing them off, but sure. So then they realize that Adam Brody is the decoy, and then there's more driving away. They end up lying in a sewer at one point, and I
Yeah.
don't understand how they got into it.
Yep. I don't know.
Just for the shot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense
Yeah.
to me.
But they're having they reach the end point of this terminal debate about whether or not they should stay married or not. And she's like, let's just call it what it is. And it was never a real marriage. Let's just accept it. And he's like, no, you know what? Let's stand and fight, because if you run away, you're going to run away for the rest of your life. So she's like, okay, great. And so then they stand and fight, and they have a last shootout in a shopping mall or a warehouse or something.
Yeah, it's like a department store.
Yeah.
Like it's like IKEA meets
Basically.
TK Maxx.
Yeah, essentially. I don't know. But they shoot all of the goons.
I-
And then there's literally no single point of interest in the bad guys.
No. Well,
They're
like,
all
it's
just
not-
wearing masks.
Yeah. Like at this point, yeah, they could be literally anybody. They're all just stunt people.
Yeah.
Nobody has a character.
Not even Vince Vaughn and Kerry Washington are in this part.
No.
They're not really involved. They just kind of go, oh, okay, you're married.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn just like signed off with a little conversation in a cafe.
Yeah.
That was it. Like he got he got a hit on both of them.
Yes.
Like he was supposed to take them both out for like.
But he rejects it because they're his friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
did he reject it?
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, he's his friend. I don't know.
Sure.
So it just ends with them shooting all of the bad guys, and then they run out of bad guys to shoot,
Yeah.
and then
And that's it.
they've won.
Yeah.
Happy ever after? Question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that.
That is literally the end.
So
Just hard cuts from that to them in therapy again.
yeah, and they're like, oh, we redid the house. Great.
We're having lots more sex now.
Yeah. So he wrote 40 endings,
Yeah.
and this filmed 5,
Yeah.
and this was the best.
This was the one that was most acceptable, which often means this is the
Right.
blandest one we can,
Okay.
because I was thinking in
this
this,
is the one that did well with test audiences.
maybe, I don't know, I'm sure there was, or maybe the one Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt like the best. I don't know. Left things open for a sequel, probably. Probably a big part of
yeah.
it. Because I was thinking, actually, this end, when they say, oh, let's just stand and fight, if they died, or even if they'd left it like ambiguous,
Yeah.
it ends with them like pointing guns. They're massively outnumbered. They've got no chance, but and then it cuts to hard cuts to credits or something. Leave it ambiguous, or just have them both go down in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. It's kind of a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing. It gives it a bit of power, but no, it just kind of ends with like, oh, and they were fine.
Yeah.
They redid the house. They redid the house.
Like
The house is rubble.
yeah. Like they're not injured as well. Like in this fight, like at one point they hide out in like a doll's house or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they're both been wearing body armor, so they're just kind of like writhing from the pain of that. But they've both been shot like in the arms and the shoulders and stuff like
Well,
that.
they are wearing
But-
bulletproof jackets, because we do get that
Yeah.
scene that you get in every movie with bulletproof jackets where they get shot.
Yes, but only on the chest. Like it's very clearly like it's only on the chest, because
Yeah.
you can see that like Brad Pitt's wearing like short sleeves,
Yeah.
and he's been
Nobody-
shot through the arm
Yeah.
multiple times. She's been shot through the shoulder. This is never brought up, and it never like they're never acting injured at all.
No. This
And
movie
with-
features the greatest assassins in America. We're led to believe like these are top assassin agencies. Nobody in this movie even once goes for a headshot.
No,
Nobody does.
it's weird.
Yeah.
And like they're not wearing any protection other than just like their torso.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of your body that is vital that is not your torso.
Sure.
So yeah,
I did appreciate that clearly Angelina Jolie's bulletproof vest was expressly designed to make her boobs look as big as humanly possible. Like,
well,
It
yeah,
had a lot of give
Yeah.
in the chest area.
yeah. Oh, it's important.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so that was Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
It was. Yeah, it wasn't great.
Like, it wasn't terrible either.
No, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible. It was just
Like, like we said at the start many times, I really enjoyed the cast. The chemistry was great. It was just really entertaining for that, and I really enjoyed the first 2/3 of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's more than I can say.
It just really fell down at the end
Uh-huh.
because it was nothing.
Yeah.
Louise said she was bored, and then 2 minutes later it finished, and I felt none the wiser.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it ends really abruptly. For a movie that kind of drags, the end is very much like, oh, I guess they're done now. Because it's just another of like multiple pointless shootouts. The end shootout doesn't feel any more climactic than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
It's just oh, we've run out now.
Yeah.
There's no more baddies. We've killed everyone in the tri-state area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it was a big fat hit.
Yeah.
It was a very popular film.
Yeah.
So, it met the moment well. But yeah, not one I'm probably going to go back to very much.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm interested in the progress you've made in the last 2 weeks.
Doing all right, aren't we? I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. There were times I just wanted to kill her, but
Likewise.
couldn't take the shot.
That's a good sign.
Who would've thought?
Sometimes you have to battle through.
That's marriage, right?
Yeah, you take your best shot, and
Oh, we redid the house.
we did. Yes, we did.
Okay, yeah, so drinking games.
So, drink for product placement.
Drink for product placement. What did you see? You're good at this.
Plenty. The main one that I noticed was right at the very end, and this is kind of my theory for why the film ends the way it does, is you just get a helicopter shot of whatever it was that shop was that they were in, doing a big shootout, and also the shop next to it. It was such a weird framing that's like, it's clearly so we can just fit both logos in.
Oh, was it like Walmart or something?
It wasn't, but it was
Something like that, yeah. Okay, I didn't actually notice that, for sure.
Yeah, like, I don't remember what it was, so it clearly wasn't very good. But it was like, here's these 2 stores, both very clearly in shot, but we're only actually going to be in one of them for the rest of the film. So the other one doesn't matter, but we got to put it in. And then I suddenly noticed there were loads and loads of this exact same shot.
Oh, right, okay,
yeah, they clearly had to like hit some sort of. They had to be in it for a certain amount of time.
I feel like a lot of what was in the house was very artfully placed.
Yeah, that
Did she mention where she got those curtains from? I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, and again, I've also forgotten what the brand was. So again, not very good. But she said where she got all her food from for the last 5 years.
Sure. Probably that same supermarket.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
My first drinking game is Drink for Legs.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie. I think this was around the time she did that insane paparazzi shot. You know, that one where she had her
with the
leg ridiculously out. Like, it might even have been at the premiere for this movie. I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, her legs are obviously a dominant feature of this film. Like, anytime they can use them. I did enjoy the random scene when she's doing the housework while, for no reason whatsoever, just balanced on the chair in this impossible way, just so that her legs can be as exposed as humanly possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that too.
I'm sure you did, yeah.
Drink for a mid-noughties camera shot.
Oh, go on.
Do you notice a lot of weird sort of helicopter shots around skyscrapers?
Oh,
and
yes.
stuff? You saw that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't really associate that specifically with the noughties, but I guess thinking about it, it very much
I
is.
just think of a lot of films where I just see that sort of thing that like from that era.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it
Like all
reminds
the
me of it.
overhead shots and stuff.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay, sure, yeah. Well, I had Drink for questionable technology.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of the same, because I was thinking mostly about, anytime you see green text on a black screen kind of thing, or but in this film it's a lot of like scanning things and they'll just randomly appear. Like,
What was your favourite?
oh, when she scans his bazooka and it just appears in the corner in the side of the screen. I don't know why that really tickled me, but it did.
My favourite was Adam Brody's belt buckle.
Oh yes, he had a belt buckle.
When he opens it and it's just like full of like flashing lights and radars and like it's making lots of noise and all sorts of stuff's going on, when in reality it would just be like an anonymous little GPS tracker that has nothing on it. But it was great because Brad Pitt just took one look at it and be like, they'll be here in 2 minutes.
Make it one. Yeah. I'm telling you, Adam Brody must have gone to the premiere of this movie and been pissed.
Yeah.
I bet he thought he was in like...
Think about Keith David and...
well, even more so, yeah. But I reckon he thought he was like the third lead, which I guess he is, but like he's in 2 scenes. Well, I bet he thought he had a whole storyline that got cut out.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Sad, yeah.
Drunk whenever a gun is drawn.
Oh, wow. I think that's very dangerous in this film. There's never more than a minute passes without another gun being drawn or shot or fired. Or knife, yeah. Any weapon of choice, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Similar to a sequel to my Drink for Angelina Jolie's legs, Drink for abs.
Yeah.
Drink for Brad Pitt's abs.
Definitely.
Clearly, they had a lot of creative control in this movie.
Yeah.
They knew what shots they wanted. So, yeah.
Drink for sexual innuendo.
Sexual innuendo, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of this in that scene where they're like cutting bread and stuff.
Oh, yes, for sure, yeah.
So, yeah, a few bits there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's lots of little jibes about how their sex life has kind of dried up a little bit as well. Like, you couldn't find it with both hands tied behind your back or something. Like, yeah.
No, 2 hands on a map.
With 2 hands on the mat, actually, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Why would you be able to find it with your hands tied behind your back? That'd be a skill. I don't know. Yeah. Here's one. Drink every time Angelina Jolie gives a smouldering backwards glance.
I mean, Brad Pitt does the same.
I guess I noticed it more with her because she has great hair.
Yeah.
But I just every time she like looks back over her shoulder and like her hair falls perfectly, and it's just like she just kind of goes woken. You know, she really just like looks very sultry.
Yeah. I mean, Brad Pitt does that smouldering look that he does as a joke in Friends.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He does that a
For
lot
real
in
in this. Yeah.
Drink whenever Vince Vaughn mentions his mum.
Yep. Hated that character.
Yeah.
Hated everything about his character.
Yeah.
Make him funnier or lift him out, please.
Yeah, that would be, yes, please.
Drink for a costume change. Again, Angelina Jolie gets many a costume in this.
Yeah. Drink for a smartly hidden gadget.
Okay, yeah.
So it could be things like
Stuck
in a belt
in a
buckle,
belt
or it could be like in the train set.
Oh, yes. Of course, the train set. Yeah.
Or in the oven.
Yeah.
That was Angelina's good one.
Oh, she has that crazy knife drawer as well that like folds out like a giant.
That was the oven.
That was the oven.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got confused. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like it was a lot of like 2005 ideas of smart technology kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When ultimately, like, what's the point in that? Just
surprising lack, or maybe not considering the time. Not a lot of smartphones, or it would have been Blackberries, I guess.
yeah, Blackberries would have just been coming in.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time spent on mobile phones at all in this film.
Well, this film came out 2 years before the first iPhone was introduced.
Oh, okay.
So
I feel like all the celebrities had Blackberries though.
maybe, but
Maybe I'm going a bit too far back, I don't know.
I think Blackberries only had like a few years before they got overtaken.
Oh yeah, but there was a brief moment when
when they were massive.
when all the rich people had Blackberries.
But
yeah.
I think that was like between maybe 2006 and 8 or
Oh,
something
okay,
like
fine.
that.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any time. Does anyone use a phone in this film? I guess not. I guess there's not a whole lot of conversations that happen in this film.
No, they're always using like a Bluetooth headset.
They are. You're right. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've always got other means of communication. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Just weird to see in
Yeah.
the context of today. Sure. My last one, and it's a pretty big.
What they're gonna do? Like, oh, Angelina's trying to kill me. It better send a quick email.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's it. The BlackBerry. That's what I mean. It would have been fun to see the dated 2005 technology. But,
Oh, I'll send her a BBM.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I can see why it wasn't used. Last one. Drink for plot holes. There's a lot of this movie that makes you go, huh?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense at all. I think I've covered most of them.
You got to drink for time jumps as well.
Time jump. How many time jumps are? Well, I guess they go back to 7 years ago.
Yeah,
and
there's
then-
like the main one, but then there's like, and now it's tomorrow, and they're doing this or whatever. The last one, drink whenever a lie is revealed.
drink. Okay, yeah, sure. The lies the lies at the heart of their marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
she wasn't my mother, she was an actor.
Yeah.
I can't believe I invited my real parents to our fake wedding.
You know, sweetheart, you're being a bit hypocritical. It's not like you're some beacon of truth.
John, my parents? They died when I was 5. I'm an orphan.
Who was that kindly fellow who gave you away at our wedding?
Paid actor.
I said I saw your dad on Fantasy Island.
I know.
You know, I don't even want to talk about it. I can't believe I brought my real parents to our wedding.
So, listeners, if you enjoyed that and you want to hear some more drinking games or some more sequel ideas later on, or just a little bit more about talking about the film, you can get extended versions of this very episode by going to patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. There you can subscribe for as much or as little as you think they were worth, and if you do, you get a bonus show as well called Beyond the Box Set, where we review our most recently watched films, such as Black Widow, Old, what else has been recent?
I don't know what we're going to watch on Friday or Saturday, whenever we
Maybe
next
Free
record.
Guy.
Free Guy, we'll probably do Free Guy.
Yeah, if
sure.
anybody wants to see a new Ryan Reynolds film.
Sure, there's just not been enough of those recently.
Yeah. It's weird watching like the billboards on buses at the moment because it's just all Ryan Reynolds.
I know he's in everything. Like, it's like they just built up all the Ryan Reynolds stuff and just plowed it all out now.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
I mean, they've kind of just let everything build up and released everything now.
Sure,
haven't
but I really feel like there's a lot of Ryan Reynolds material happening right now, more
yeah.
than most. But yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So you can have all that and a few other things, such as every couple of weeks we do a Patreon episode right here on the main show. Patreon, who we pick up random, can choose the film for us, and you can come and guest if you want to, but you don't have to.
Uh-huh.
And also you can have a 30-second advert slot right here on the main show where you can talk about whatever you want to. Your own podcast, your own business, whatever you feel like. All that is available at patreon.com/beyondtheboxset.
Indeed.
Bonjour tout le monde, I'm Finn, and every Tuesday I host a podcast called Passport People, in which I talk to people from around the world about the places that matter to them. What is so special about each location? What makes each place tick? Where are they headed? To join us on our round-the-world trip, talking to a diverse range of fascinating people from an incredible variety of professional and cultural backgrounds, search for Passport People in Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, so sequels.
Yep.
I have 2.
Okay.
What do you have?
I have 1.
Cool.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Well, I'll do 1, you do 1, I'll do 1.
Okay.
So the first one I've done, I've actually just rewritten the last third of this film.
Okay. To improve it, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see how we go. Oh, I love how the autocorrect's gone in there.
Okay. Can't wait for this.
So Vincent Vaughn.
Vincent Vaughn. Wow, he's really come up in the world. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Vince Vaughn, he gets the hits on them just after the Smiths have that car chase or whatever, but it's before they hide in the department store.
Right. Yeah, he gets pinged saying that he's been offered $400,000 to kill Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. So that's pretty much where this is gonna go from.
So in your version, does he take the job?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
So they suspect that this would have happened, and so they go and they storm his mum's house with him in the basement.
This is because this would have given the film a villain who has at least been a character beforehand. Because he is the third most prominent character, I'd say.
Yep.
He's in quite a few scenes with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So yeah, he could have been a fine villain.
Yeah.
Sure.
So just something like he's their target now.
Sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as a villain, but he's the target at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that. Yeah. So they storm his mum's house, and he is completely unprepared. He's taken completely unawares and is surprised and scared. He immediately starts whimpering and crying in his basement, calling out for his mum.
Oh, so is this the reveal that he's not actually a very good assassin at all?
He's completely inept.
It's all been talk. Yeah.
His mum comes down to see what all the fuss is about, and he says he's scared. So she goes outside, marches right up to Brad Pitt, who is a bit sort of taken aback by this older woman coming out. Brad Pitt's not prepared to kill an older woman.
Sure.
She marches right up to Brad Pitt and knees him in the balls.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So he falls to the ground disabled, and Angelina Jolie comes out with her guns pointed up in the air, and she surrenders, just saying like, "Look, I'm not going to fight you, but your son is trying to kill us, and we want to go in, stop him from doing that, and talk to him." The mum says, "Okay, but tell him if he doesn't cooperate with you, then we're watching what I want to watch on TV for the rest of the month." So,
have you got any casting ideas for this badass old grandma?
No, not really.
I'm thinking the obvious one is Helen Mirren.
I was thinking Helen Mirren as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So Helen Mirren shows them in.
Although Judi Dench would be funnier.
Yeah, let's go Judi Dench.
Yeah.
So Judi Dench shows them in. Brad is probably limping a bit, and they go downstairs. Because in this one, injuries actually happen.
Oh, good. They have consequences. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Vince Vaughn is there, and they ask him, "Hey, what the hell, man?" And he says, "Well, they were going to pay me loads of money." Brad Pitt says, "How much? How much were we worth to them dead? $1 million each? 2?" And Vince Vaughn's like, $800K? Brad and Ange look at each other and grumble a little bit. Brad says, "Wait, was that $800K each? Or $800K together and $400K each?" Vince Vaughn's like, $400K each? Motherfucker! Ange says, "Well, enough of that. Who was it, Vince? Who put the hit on us?" And he says, "I won't tell you. They'll kill me and my mum." And they're like, Who was it? "If you don't tell us, your mum's going to get to choose the telly." He's like, "Oh, God, no. Okay, all I know is he's the big guy."
Okay.
Like, I think they call him, like, father. And Ange's like, "Oh, I knew it. That's my boss." And Brad says, "Wait, that's the code name of my boss, too."
Ooh, so they're both working for the same guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's running like 2 rival agencies and playing them off against each other.
You got it.
That's pretty interesting.
They say, "Well, it's either run and hide forever or we fight back and end this." To kind of do that sewer scene again.
Yeah.
Again, why were they in a sewer?
Why would it just it made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
It's a random cut to the beginning. So.
So they go to one of Andrew's secret bases and they do a research montage because they just know father. They don't know anything else about this guy, who he works for, whatever. They uncover a lot about the parent company of both their agencies, and it's a company called Big Daddy Corp.
Oh, it's back! Fantastic.
This one felt obvious.
Yeah.
Even the guy's called Father. It's like,
True. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of primed for it. I'm not gonna lie.
So they find the guy in charge, played by Keith David. I didn't realize that Angela Bassett was cast, so
That was the female voice though.
Yeah. I mean, we could always cast them as a power couple.
They could absolutely be a power couple.
That totally works in this.
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah.
So yeah, they find out that it's two people in charge. It's Keith David and Angela Bassett. So they go to their facility. They've got an address or whatever. And instead of the film concluding with a shootout in a department store, this time they shoot their way into a high security facility.
Right.
So they're breaking in somewhere, and there's
to confront Keith David and Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the security guards and stuff they've got to take out. Like there's still the whole badass scene, and like they get shot a lot, and in their bulletproof vests. And
but there's just a point to it now. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bit more of a point to it. So it's the same sort of thing. It's just a mindless shootout.
Right.
But yeah, they get closer and closer to where they need to be until they get to the reception room that we saw Adam Brody in at the start.
Right.
With the lift doors that nobody's allowed in.
Okay.
So they go in the lift and they go up, and the doors open. And sat across from the room at a big desk is the Big Daddy himself and the Big Mama.
Big Mama.
I've not. Yeah.
Sure.
Keith David and Angela Bassett. They're there doing a slow clap. And one of them says the word impressive. And they start a bad guy monologue.
Oh, great.
This point, Brad and Ange, they sigh out of boredom by this
it's just a generic bad guy monologue.
Yeah. They sigh out of boredom. They both look at each other, with a smile and a nod. They point their guns up at Keith David and Angela Bassett. We see the camera looking down the barrel of their guns with those two looking badass behind it. And they shoot, and it cuts to black.
Okay.
And that's it. Maybe they go back to therapy to sort of bookend the movie again.
Sure.
But that's it. So
they've taken out their bosses.
Yeah, they could wait to just do for the bosses to do a whole bad guy monologue, and maybe the bad guys would get the upper hand. But at that point, Brad and Ange, they got the drop on them. They can end it right there and then.
Yes.
What's stopping them?
They're doing what any reasonable assassin would do. Yeah. Not waiting around.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so they're just gonna. That's it.
Good. Okay. I like that more because it does give you an actual villain to root against, and things have some meaning. So great. Yeah. Did that have a title at all? Or?
It was just Mr. and Mrs. Smith continued.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith continued. Okay.
Or you could say the end of Mr. and Mrs.
Remixed,
Smith.
yeah.
Remixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really give it much title thought because it's
the same film.
It's the end of the same film.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. No, very good. I can see how that would have improved things a little bit. So I go with my one now?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So my sequel is called Smith Family Values.
Nice.
And this is based on one of the many alternate endings that they considered. And this one they actually filmed. There's an alternative ending you can see on the internet, which is basically that instead of ending up in therapy, the two of them end up going to Italy. They're living in Rome under a new identity.
Okay.
And it turns out they've had a daughter.
Right.
And the joke at the end is that the daughter is also an amazing shooter. She's 5 years old, but she shoots a little arrow thing into the head of a toy, and it's just it's like, oh no, she's picked up our skills.
Right. Okay.
So I'm thinking of that's the kind of thing. They've moved to Rome because obviously they're still probably
I just had an idea about what could happen if they did have kids.
Yeah.
Their kids could get recruited as well, but they don't realize it.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Or is that just the plot to Spy Kids?
Could be the plots of Spy Kids. Yeah. Don't know. But anyway, I've not seen the Spy Kids movies.
I need to watch Spy Kids again. That was amazing.
Okay.
Have you not seen Spy Kids?
I think it was a touch after my time to be watching kids movies, to be honest.
Oh, I really want to go back and watch it.
Okay.
The cast is incredible. It's got everyone in it.
Okay. We can't do it on this podcast because there's 4 of them. But
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
No, but I can watch this. So anyway, this is not about Spy Kids. So I was thinking, I've taken that idea where, so obviously at the end of the original movie, they've shot all of the goons, but they're probably still wanted, by these shady, powerful forces, if not by the American government.
Yeah.
So they've moved to Italy, they've moved to Rome, and they've changed their identities. They're living incognito in Rome and have been since the end of the first movie. So it's now 2021. It's been 15 years. It's 2005, the original movie came out. So it's 15 years later. They're both I think pushing 50. I think Brad Pitt's 55. Angelina Jolie's 46 right now. So They're both older, you know. They're still
46.
I know you think she's older, but no.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're living in Rome now, have been for like 15 years.
I mean, I always thought that she just looked good for her age, but actually thinking about it, she just looked good.
She just looked good, yeah.
Because like 46, like, oh yeah, I can believe that. But I thought that she was like
46 when this was made.
yeah. Like just looking amazing.
Yeah. No, she was only 30 when she made this film.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that we did only recently do Hackers, and then that one that was a long time before this.
Yes.
So yeah.
And she was like 15 or 16 when she did Hackers. So yeah, it tracks. Anyway, I will get to this sequel eventually. So yeah, that's fine. They've moved to Italy under these new identities, and they've been living there incognito for the past like 15 years. And their daughter is now like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And their son, they also have a son who's like 12 or something. And I'm thinking that their marriage has kind of hit another dull streak. It's kind of started to lose the shine again once more, because they both quit the assassination biz and they've just kind of dedicated themselves to like being full-time parents.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, maybe they've got like boring day jobs as well, but you know, they've focused so much on raising their kids that they've really stopped communicating with each other a little bit, and it's kind of caused a bit of a problem. And now that their kids are getting older and more independent, they're realizing they've got a lot more time when it's just the two of them, and they're realizing they don't have anything left to say to each other anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a classic domestic situation. Also, Angelina Jolie has secretly started taking assassination jobs again.
Okay.
I think it'd be like a twist to make it her rather than him. They both just agreed to never go back to that life, but now she's started like.
I'm sure the obvious twist is that they both done that
could be
secretly.
Well, I thought it'd be more fun if it was just her,
Okay.
and he's just like really tried to stay on the straight and narrow, and like maybe he's got really into his model trains now. You know?
Right, yeah,
He's found other more boring interests.
Yeah.
So maybe she's always sneaking off to do these assassinations, and he starts to think that she's having an affair, and so maybe he tails her, and then what he finds out the truth that she's taken on assassination jobs again, and this causes a whole fight basically, and it causes them to, you know, because he's like, come on, I thought we'd move past this, you know, we've worked really hard and we leave this behind, and she's like, yes, but it makes me feel so alive, you know, and they're just having a whole debate about it. Anyway, it causes a problem, so they're arguing about that, and then they come home and they realize that their kids have been arrested.
Right. Okay.
So their kids get arrested for, it turns out, for strapping a bomb underneath one of their teachers' cars.
Great.
Because I'm thinking that they've inherited their parents' you know, assassination skills. So the bomb was found. Maybe the car blew up, but the kids like insist. Oh, we were just trying to scare him. This teacher. He was never actually going to be in the car, so no one's been killed.
Yeah.
But still, this is a worrying development that their kids have developed these crazy, you know, assassination skills and are using them. So yeah, Angelina and Brad go to the police to bail the kids out, and they're surprised to be met by none other than Kerry Washington,
Okay.
who has now risen over the past 15 years, has risen in the ranks to be the head of the American Secret Service. So she's very much high ranking. And she explains that she's been tracking them for some time. Because of this incident with the exploding car, the kids could very easily be deported back to America now.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then they'll lose their fake identity and they will almost certainly become a target for assassination, because the parents are still very much wanted
Yeah.
assassins back in America.
Yeah.
So Kerry Washington gives them an ultimatum. She says, we can make this all go away so you can retain your secret identity and your kids can stay here in Italy if you help us to take out the head of the Italian mafia.
Okay.
Yeah. Or some like Italian warlord, notorious crime boss who's like, I don't know, smuggling nuclear weapons, or you know, something that the American government are not pleased with. Basically, there's some reason they want this guy dead immediately.
Yeah, sure.
But he's a very high up crime boss to the point where he's got so much protection that anyone attempting to take him out would be on a suicide mission, essentially.
Got it.
So that's why they need the two greatest assassins in American history, which is apparently these two bozos. But also they need to, like, you know, manipulate them so they can't say no because their kids' lives are at stake.
Can we cast Ray Winston, make him do another accent?
As who?
This Italian mob boss.
Oh, sure, yeah, that could work. Yeah, I've not really thought about who the mob boss could be, but yeah, it could be Ray Winston.
I'm still just getting over his Russian accent in Black
It
Widow.
was pretty special.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Ray Winston works. That absolutely works. But also, there's a more important piece of casting though.
Okay.
So they've been given this mission. They have to take out the head of the Italian crime syndicate, or their kids will be deported back to America. So they reluctantly agree. But then Kerry Washington says, well, to ensure that you complete the mission as we've demanded, and to make sure there's no double crossing, and to help you to get into their inner circle, we're going to assign you one of our best internal agents.
Right.
And this is a top Italian / American spy called Chiara Lamborghini.
You made that up,
I
right?
did go, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Chiara Lamborghini. And she's going to walk into the room now, and she's going to be played by Jennifer Aniston.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And Brad is immediately going to gasp because he recognizes her. And he's going to have to sheepishly admit to Angelina that actually way before they got married, him and Chiara Lamborghini used to date.
Yeah. Well, he did say in the original film that he got married. He was married before.
Yeah, maybe it's his ex-wife, yeah. And
Yeah.
so she's like, oh, nice to see you again, hubby or something. And then Angelina has no idea about this.
Yeah.
And then he has to sheepishly admit, oh, it's her.
Yeah.
And obviously it'd be really fun because a lot of times past, I'm sure none of them care anymore.
Yeah.
To have like Jennifer Aniston.
Well, yeah, I mean, you say that, but
I mean,
Brad and Angelina are still going through a divorce.
They're still
I
in
think.
court, yeah. So,
So,
yeah. I mean, this film's not going to get made.
No.
But in my fantasy, yeah, it'd be fun for them to like make fun of the whole scandal and have Jen come back in and let them play out this kind of,
Yeah.
dysfunctional freeway relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously, Brad has to admit that this is his ex-wife, and the three of them now have to work together, which is clearly going to cause quite a bit of tension. And so they get to work trying to infiltrate the crime boss's network. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of explosions and car chases and random civilian casualties.
Yeah.
All the things you expect from this kind of movie.
Yeah. I'd like to rescind my Ray Winston casting and go with David Schwimmer instead.
Sure, yeah, that could also work. Yeah, just make it a full Friends fest. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just specifically David Schwimmer because.
Well, I mean, if you. But that being said, Italian crime boss.
Yes.
Joey Tribbiani.
No.
He's Italian.
Yeah, but like. Jennifer Aniston, David Schwimmer. Like,
yes, I get it. So, I know. It's funny. Yeah, it's funny if it's him.
It's not just the Ross Rachel thing. Apparently, they're going out now as well.
So I heard. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yeah, because then maybe when she's breaking into helping them to infiltrate into the crime boss's thing, it turns out she also dated the crime boss himself.
Yeah.
So she's got her connections all over the place. Yeah. But I'm thinking that Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt have to pretend to be a couple,
right?
Because to infiltrate the crime gang. Because Angelina, she's much more of a techie. She's so, like you say, she's so organized. She can really handle all of the organizational stuff. So it makes more sense for them to be the fake couple than for her to be like working the machines from the background. But that makes her end up suspecting that Brad and I keep wanting to say Rachel, that Brad and Jen are having an affair again, and that makes her very insecure.
Yep.
So obviously, it's going to have to culminate in a very dramatic, very destructive cat fight between Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
Much like the fight in the original movie, it's going to destroy an entire castle or something.
Great, yeah.
And may well end up in them having sex afterwards, just because
Nice.
so much tension.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt can be just like watching, like, oh no, stop! Please don't hurt each other. Please stop this sexy fighting. Please, for me, no. But I'm thinking what ends up having to happen is that maybe it turns out that actually this could work. Say you've cast David Schwimmer as the crime boss. Actually, yeah. So Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt, they infiltrate the crime syndicate, posing as a couple. Angelina Jolie's on the side, and then at the last minute, Jennifer Aniston betrays Brad and Angelina.
Right.
Turns out she was a double agent the whole time, working for David Schwimmer because
Got it.
he's her lover.
Yeah.
And then Angelina and Jen have a huge cat fight.
Yep.
And kick ass and destroy property, whatever.
And Brad Pitt and David Schwimmer.
Brad Pitt and David Schwimmer can fight. Yeah, sure. That feels like
we've always
feels like
wanted.
it'd be a bit one-sided, but sure, yeah. And then it ends up maybe it ends up with Brad's holding a gun. He's pointing a gun at Jen and Angelina, and it's like you got to kill one of them, and he has to make that decision. And of course, he chooses Angelina and I guess they save their kids. I stopped writing at this point, but I'm guessing this.
Kids.
Yeah, that was kind of a way in that I forgot about, but yeah. So ultimately, yes, they stay together. They defeat the crime boss. Jennifer Aniston goes to jail or something. Actually, I don't think I want Brad Pitt to shoot Jennifer Aniston. She's suffered enough, poor Jen. But he incapacitates her instead.
Maybe post-credit scene, she was wearing bulletproof vest.
Sure, something happens.
Yeah.
Or he's only firing blanks, whatever.
Yeah.
But she goes to jail instead.
Yeah.
But Brad and Angelina, they get their kids back. They get to live their incognito lives again. But maybe, again, post-credit or last scene, we learn that the daughter, who's like 17 now, claims she's going to university, but really she's going to international assassin school.
Great.
She's following in her parents' footsteps.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
That is Smith family values.
Smith family values. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally works. Okay, so my second idea is called Mr. and Mrs. Depp.
Oh, no.
I'm joking. Oh, that joke's way too soon. Oh, dear. That's rough. For real, my idea is called The Smiths versus the Joneses.
The Smiths versus the Joneses, okay.
So 15 years later or whatever, Mr. and Mrs. Smith have rebuilt their house and have both retired from the game.
Okay.
The film starts with them having a couple's argument about something mundane like new curtains or
Sure.
whether or not to get a piano for the living room or something like that.
I like the idea that it's always the curtains.
Yeah.
Just a constant cause of stress is just these goddamn curtains.
She keeps getting new curtains and he's like, I like the old curtains.
Yeah. It's just a constant bone of contention in their relationship.
We talked about this, dear.
Yeah.
Outside, they hear a car pull up next door. It's some new neighbours. They peek out of an upstairs curtain to see who it is, and out the car comes a young couple, played by Margot Robbie and Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Good casting, yeah.
They have a look around and... Michael B. Jordan has a look around and quickly clocks that they're being spied on, and so Brad and Angelina quickly duck. That evening, from here on out, I call them the Smiths. That evening, the Smiths go over to introduce themselves. Jane has a pie that she'll claim that she baked, and they knock on the door, and Michael B. Jordan greets them. They introduce themselves, and he introduced himself as David Jones, and says, and you must meet my wife, Diane. Honey, won't you come down and meet the Smiths? It's really like the idea of Michael B. Jordan talking
Being
about
like
that.
super white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very like middle
White
class.
suburban.
Yeah.
Sort of 50s sort of thing.
Kind of like one of the black characters in Get Out.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Margot Robbie comes down and greets them with a thick southern accent, very Dolly Parton.
Okay, I can see that for her, yeah.
It says that they simply must come in for dinner.
Okay.
So the four of them all have dinner together, and John and Jane, or the Smiths, they notice a very thick sexual tension between the Joneses. The kind they've not felt since the last movie.
Oh, okay.
No,
so they're jealous.
A little bit, but they're also like, oh, these two feel like the younger versions of us. This is interesting. So they start talking about their jobs and lives, and everyone gives stories about made-up careers that they've rehearsed. And the Smiths, they share a look telepathically, calling bullshit on the Joneses stories. They've heard these kind of stories before.
They see right through them. They know there's something.
They can hear a fake story.
Okay.
So over the coming days, they notice these two coming in and out of the house at weird times, always travelling separately, and one often leaving shortly after the other. Another tell that the Joneses are secretly spies or assassins or whatever. Well, anyway, after a while, the Smiths wake up in the middle of the night hearing a disturbance from next door. They can hear a gunfight going on, clearly an extravagant one. Eventually it goes quiet, and then they're bothered by the sounds of some very passionate and very built-up lovemaking.
Okay.
They have sex themselves while the mood is going around.
Okay.
And,
sure. Yeah.
And immediately fall asleep. Maybe Brad actually starts snoring like the second he's done or something.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he's 56 at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. They're a little bit old. I was going to make this whole story about two assassins who were just older, like casting old people in them. But then I suddenly realised, oh, wait, that's just the hitman's wife's bodyguard.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's just exactly what... I then thought, like, why don't I cast Selma Hayek? Great idea, Harry. Wait a minute. No.
You had the All About Steve thing again.
Yeah. Anyway, the next morning, they're woken up by the sound of next door's house exploding.
Oh, great. Well, that would wake you up, yeah.
They run to the window and watch as the Joneses break into the Smith's garage and steal Brad's car. He goes, oh no! And goes to run down and get in the other car and chase them down. But Ange stops him and says, look at this. And it's a text message from Vince Vaughn with a hit for the Joneses, $5 million each.
Ooh. Oh, so they are still working as assassins then?
Well, maybe they're retired, but $5 million. That's
this is their best offer in a while. Yeah, okay.
That's a lot of money.
Okay.
They could buy next door's house and rebuild it. Yeah, whatever. I have some weird fantasies of what I could do to next door's house.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. This is if anything happens to them, you'll know now.
So they share a look and each run downstairs, grabbing weapons out of various pieces of furniture. They begin a car chase. There's lots of shooting. And there's also remnants of a SWAT team who are also trying to kill the Joneses. So it's clearly like a public hit has gone out on the Joneses.
Right.
And the Smiths want to get there first, get the money. So they've got to take out some SWAT cars. So there's a bit of a reason for that. They take out some SWAT cars one by one on the highway and eventually catch up with the Joneses. Brad motions to them to wind down their windows and pull over. And the Joneses are shocked to see their older neighbours are the people in the car chase who just took out 3 SWAT vehicles.
Oh, they didn't realise.
What? But you're so old. And he's like, nah, we're like 50. And like, yeah, but we're 20. Whatever, I don't know. They all pull over and they get out and talk. 4 of them just have a chat. The Joneses reveal that they literally just last night found out that their other halves are also assassins working for competing companies.
So history has literally repeated
Pretty
itself.
much, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm a lazy writer.
Yes.
And they were hired to kill each other.
Uh-huh.
The Smiths reveal that they were also assassins that have had the exact same experience and that they are responding to a very big hit on the Joneses' lives, but are willing to forego that so the 4 of them can team up to take down the 2 companies.
Ah, okay.
That's where I've got to. To be honest, that pretty much links into the first idea I wrote. Because, like I say, I'm a lazy writer and these films just kind of repeat.
I mean, this film is lazily written, so I can't really judge you too hard this week. No, I think that could work. Yeah, because maybe they realize that the agency is still employing the same old tricks. Yeah. And they're like, listen, learn from our mistakes. Yeah. Don't blow up your house.
Yeah, well, too late.
Oh, it's too late. Okay. Yeah, let's team up together and take down the man.
Maybe they do it like let's fake your deaths and then like we share the money, but like as part of the plan it's take down these agencies.
Yeah. I like that. And you could have you could get a lot of comedy out of, like I said, the contrast between the younger generation and how they operate between these 2 kind of old school assassins. And yeah, that could be fun. I think you could really have fun teaming up. You could have like Brad and Michael B. Jordan, and you could have Angelina and Margot Robbie, have them teaming up and really experiencing how the generation has shifted. Like that could be really interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So that is the Smiths versus the Joneses.
The Smiths versus the Joneses. Very, very good.
You didn't call it Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2, the Smiths versus the Joneses? I don't know, whatever. So yeah, that's that. Do the listeners have anything to contribute?
They do, of course. Okay. I will tell you some of the ideas that they had. So Dan Lebrecht said, Mr. and Mrs. and Dr. Smith. Mr. and Mrs. Smith are at it again, but this time Brad Pitt's older brother, who happens to be a dermatologist, is caught up in the shenanigans. Okay. So I think the idea of this, and I quite like this, is that maybe like he's got a really straight-laced ordinary brother who's got a really boring job.
Right, okay,
dermatologist, who like comes to like uncle whatever who comes to visit and gets like wrapped up in a assassination chaos. So
yeah, sure.
Dig into the family, fake or real, Yeah. Drew Mancini said Little Smiths. It's all about their kids, kind of like little Fockers.
Oh, yeah.
Focus on the kids, Connor Crehan said Mr. and Mrs. and Mr. Smith. The Smiths become polygamous. Or polyamorous, maybe. I don't know, there's another Mr. Smith
Sounds good.
Joins the group, Rosalind Device said Air Smith, it's all about the family dog. It's maybe like a dog assassin. I like that idea. I think that's based on like Air Bud, which is a dog film. So, Adam Capitano said Mr. and Mrs. Smith go to Washington. It's an old film called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's a Cary Grant film. Duncan Flaster said a British reboot called Mr. and Mrs. Smythe. Just make them very British. I don't know.
Sure. I mean, Smith is a
very British name.
Classically British name.
Clearly, the Americans think it needs an E on the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
And finally, our friend Martin Gardner at MG Loves Fun said Smith, Smith and Jones, featuring Jennifer Aniston as Jones, who turns out to be a Russian double agent doing a catastrophic Russian accent.
Great.
So a little bit of my idea and a little bit of your idea there.
Yeah.
Just all came together. So thank you everybody for those sequel ideas. We ask for your listener submissions every week, a few days before we record, by putting posts out on Facebook and Twitter where you can post your ideas. So make sure you like and follow our pages if you don't want to miss out. To listen to more episodes of Beyond the Box Set, you can subscribe and browse our back catalogue on any podcasting platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google Play, and many others, in all of which you can also leave a 5-star review if you so wish. You can also support us on Patreon for as much or as little as you think we're worth. To access all the bonus features that we mentioned earlier, you can find all the links in the description below or at beyondtheboxset.com. And next week, Harry, back to me.
Yeah.
I see the fear in your eyes. Yeah. It's justified.
Yeah.
I am going to continue, despite the mediocre reaction last week, I'm going to continue plowing through my little mini series because I've got it all planned out and I'm not just letting a little thing like you hating it get in my way. So
okay,
yeah. So there's only 2 more, and I've got
2 more.
I've got a real end game for this, and this week you'll see where I'm going with this.
Oh god.
This week you'll see where it's going.
Okay.
So
how long is it?
This is the thing. I can't say that this film is better than All About Eve because that's literally one of the best films ever made, and you still hated it.
That's fair. Yeah.
I can say this film is shorter and more happens.
Okay.
Like it's not based in a theater. There's some actual events happening.
Yeah.
and it's not 2.5 hours long. So, there's that.
Okay.
So next week, we're going to do a film called Mildred Pierce.
Mildred Pierce. I'm not sure I've heard of it.
No.
I'm going to check on how long it is and see how we're looking there.
It's under two. I think it's an hour and...
Mildred Pierce. 1945.
Yeah.
Hour 51.
Yeah. Falls under the 2-hour mark. It's 20 minutes shorter than the last one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going somewhere with this, and I think when you'll see, you'll have a twig when you watch this one, or maybe you'll twig when I announce my next one. And the next one I know you'll like. So I have a direction that I'm moving towards, and then we can leave it behind and never speak of it again. But
Okay.
I want to see this through now. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So join us next week, listeners, for Mildred Pierce.
Yeah. It's going to be a great time.
Well, if you go in with a bad attitude, then it won't. Maybe you'll like it. Give it a chance. Give it a fair chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, bye.
Bye.
Oh, we redid the house.